Weber?
Frau Russo, guten Morgen.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
Wouldn't start without you.
Das ist für Ihre Soldaten.
Ach, danke, das ist sehr nett von Ihnen.
Kein Problem. Einen schönen Tag noch.
Hey Jungs, schaut, was wir haben.
Was ist das?
Move up, men!
Forward to the church!
Watch for enemy fire!
Company, send in the planes, now!
Royals plane, Summers!
I'm sorry to keep you waiting, boys. Bombs away!
Dear Maggie, it's been a while, I know. Sorry. I've never been as good with words as you. I just finished up 5 months in North Africa. You'll be pleased to know I didn't see a single German all the while I was there. Some of the men talk about the battle at Kasserine Pass. I'm sure you saw it in the papers. They seem shaken up about it. I just wish I could have landed in time to help out. Remember Captain McKay? He was there, and he got the men through it. A lot of them look up to him for it. Don't you worry about me, though. It's a good group of guys I'm with. Pearson, Rogers, McKay. We all got each other's backs. One of the Brits, Roy, bet me some chocolate we'd be headed to Italy next. You know my luck. We're off to Sicily. And Roy needed the chocolate more than me anyway. I haven't forgotten it's your dream to see Rome. I'll look for a nice spot to take you on vacation while I'm there. McKay is saying the Italians don't have much fight left in them. He thinks bringing the front lines to Italy will force them out of the war. Should make taking their beaches a little easier at least. Well, I guess it's nearly time to leave, so I better find somewhere to sit. I'll try to write more, if I can. Love always, Joe. Did it. We finally took Sicily. Roy said it took 38 days, but I'm not counting. It's different than the training at Fort Riley. Nobody can really be prepared to get shot at. We won, but we lost a lot of good men. Thank God for McKay. He kept me and the boys going all the way through Sicily. I hope I can be half as good if I'm ever a CO. He'll probably be at battalion command by then. We'd certainly get along better than the generals do. Buckram and Norton have been at each other's throats since we landed at Jella. Roy's been taking bets on who's gonna get punched first. My money's on Norton. They were so busy trying to prove each other wrong, half the damn German army got away. They'll be waiting for us on the mainland, no doubt. Italians surrendered the moment we kicked them off Sicily, though. The civilians are practically hugging us in the streets. They're happy to have their homes back. One of them looked just like my great-aunt Donna. I watched her pry a rifle off a dead German, then walk off like she was gonna hunt down Mussolini herself. If she's half as stubborn as Aunt Donna, I wouldn't put it past her. We got word yesterday that a new theater commander's arriving. They'll be prepping us for the next set of landings on the mainland. I pray they aren't an empty uniform. It's a long road to Rome. Dear Maggie, well, Roy and I made it to Rome in one piece. It was touch and go for a while, but by the time we got here, the Germans had cleared out. Not that I'm complaining, of course. Honestly, it seemed like just about everyone turned up to help kick Germany's ass. I think the whole world's sick of Hitler's bullcrap. It turns out Norton and Buckram could get along, after all. And those partisans, man, I never should have doubted them. As tough as anyone I've fought with, that's for sure. I guess the commander really pulled it out of the bag. Brass were happy anyway. Captain McKay got me a promotion to sergeant. And he's promised to buy me one of those New York hot dogs when we get back home, to celebrate. Roy says we're headed to France next, though. Guess I'd better keep an eye on my chocolate. I'll write again when I can. Love always, Joe.
In Benghazi, we'd been pulled back and forth between the Italians, the Germans, and the British for over 2 years. We navigated occupied life as best we could, siding with whoever was holding the city at the time. It was safer that way. But then Mussolini began forcing Jews in other parts of Libya to move to Benghazi. Some friends, men I'd grown up with, wanted me to join them and fight alongside the British Army. I didn't want to leave my family, but I couldn't just sit around and hope the war wouldn't touch us.
كان بحرة إن السرداسن إيسوق غصة قرن غرس وليني أفتح آتن الزريح.
خصك ما ترات البالية في النتايلي تينو.
أسر جحتايلت أيبا.
سنح ولا نكين نرب دادك التاري.
إذن بلا نغيب. إبا وهو.
سليمة. يخصاي تسكر خيكاد.
صدر حدك من حولي إنكي. صدر حد منها أولى نكي.
احتاج ما تتقاور دمام هذا استوس. ياك تسنتمنى.
أدور تفتو تايبا.
رادق على خيرة اللي تينو. وعدكم.
Rommel pushed us back towards Gazala. Time and time again we were caught out by his aggression. His unpredictable maneuvers left us scrambling to survive as the German flag guns devastated our lines and our morale. The British lost men. I lost friends. The Air Force brought some respite, but news from Benghazi left me wondering exactly who I was fighting alongside.
إبا سبوقين تلفوحتين لم تتغسى كيسو دراين نكرا فرسيسين لايني تلحونا ورقسن يتك ينا نهون كان للمان ريحة داسنا أدور يتين يكان ولاني النسلة يتلفوحتين دي كان فلاح النروي كان يد إنا وحوس دور لحسار إكامح تبدي دي تايمرد تنا شما يسرع هتاري إكانيين ولا أنت ينزفو سينو دينا يأدقو ترك صوتح قرب انت الفلتين أيلح أترقق اسقف لحبد انت الفلتين انفوحس برا أن تمسكا إدمن طيامات تقميد إنه ولاني دركرا إقوز من إدن سقف آري ردستح الجزة تنائنا تمسكين جن الإنجليز ولاني لحسبينو كان إمودا كلنا كما تحفهم ورد زيك استجمي يبا تنياغي تنوفيناك أركم تريح سليمة.
After our defeat at Gazala, we were almost as broken as our tanks. The British commanders had thrown away their advantage. Communication broke down. Reports were delayed or ignored. Rommel hounded us, steadily wearing down our defenses until there was nothing left to do but retreat. Each day I found myself farther from my family. My daughter's letters the only connection I had to them.
نفاديان أموه أن اسمي وان إجيت الفتوت تحشونا مدن أكل اللان اسمي وان نساس إجيج إنتفلو إكساتن أدفتون أس أمكاز أغصة إتاحنا وزل تناي إنا إكسايد أد أرتو وعلف ولاني إبان فلس استكسود اسمي وانه أركاني جي أمو ولاني فتح وكاي غيقن قنغن بحران المدن عقل فكرة جاسن زاه تشوها ولاني كان غو وعد ولا أندتن كان غناه درف اللس إزعيديان وسردس ريادة سوا ولاني تفائنا تواهي إبا إيوين آري.
The British became more and more creative in their attempts to gain even a small advantage. They built dummy tanks and left fake tracks in the sand to mislead the Germans. The Allied codebreakers, Ultra, gave us access to German transmissions. Our officers scoured through them, hunting for any way to strike back. And the people of Benghazi looked for their own way to wage war on the Germans.
تشقى تبرين يسا اتسوالن إنا تنا إيوان للماني نهوم داري اسكياتو سويكين سرادك تخت تولو نونكي إدي إنا أورتري تبرين التحبس الدلب النابة أتوز اتفار سنين نسن ترى إنا إز أراسن سلح تتسويعيد فلا أنانكي من أمرا هلك ديك منه.
I met an Italian one night. In the confusion of battle, we'd ended up in a trench together. We were both tired of fighting, so we talked. I told him about my family. He told me about his. He had a daughter too. The fighting started again at dawn. The Italian was shot, and I tried to save him. For a moment, the war seemed so pointless. But my daughter's letters reminded me of life in Benghazi and what I was fighting for, my family and my home.
إبا كان لليمان سوق إرسبدن مدن دلتان سكوان بحرة يسقسينو كان غول مسد ولا نتاقر اسمك كل والي غغلن إلى أدسري إسوا.
You there, girl! Come here!
ولاني رولا ورسناهما سكربلا غيقا إزمعي أيبا.
By the time Rommel reached Tobruk, we were at our breaking point. The British commanders underestimated how weak their army was and didn't have the experience to withstand Rommel's assault. The Germans took over 30,000 prisoners. In the aftermath, our officers outlawed any mention of the German commander. The wily desert fox had become a bogeyman to be feared. But there were people who refused to be intimidated, and they fought back, in the desert and in Benghazi.
إبا اتقفى قدام إلى الماء سلح إنا دا تبريس أرفلس سولن تسحبها تنا تبرين رفحا بحران للالمان تناي إما إقساس غيخ أنرول ولاني نكي والريحة دفتو ورد زك عفا قايبة هركم تريح سليمة.
In early July, Australian forces attacked an intelligence outpost that had been relaying every detail of British troop movements to the Germans. Rommel's reputation had grown larger than the man himself. But now, the Allies had finally solved the mystery of his apparent genius. However, the SS had arrived in North Africa with orders to follow Rommel and extend the persecution of Jews east, across Egypt, and beyond. The Allies would get their breakthrough, but it would come too late for my family.
ما كانك نيا إنا إقساخيخ نفتو غلا.
The first Battle of El Alamein was a stalemate, but we halted Rommel's advance. 2 weeks later, a new commander arrived, General Bernard Montgomery. He brought fresh troops, and more importantly, a fresh atmosphere. One of optimism and a sense of inevitable victory. The British began supplying Rommel with false information, and under Montgomery's command, they pushed forward, driving the Afrika Korps back across the desert. And I went with them. سليمة
إبا
ما رحت لين مام
إسرداسن إلان إغا غلطي نو إبا تانا تبرين كانت نوت في نقويانا وكان نكي أرمحد سفهم ناس هاتينكي أدي كان ولا أني إنها تنا يا أرسركشت أرم أدوسا زنكي
ورقي غلط بدنك بخير وعدك.
With the loss of his direct line to Allied intelligence and the arrival of the US Army, Rommel was forced to retreat to Tunisia. In March 1943, after a failed attack on the 8th Army, he returned to Europe. 2 months later, the German army in North Africa surrendered. We didn't know it at the time, but Rommel's defeat was the beginning of the end of the war. It would take 2 more years and cost millions of lives, but Hitler would be defeated, just as Rommel had been. It was the end of my war too. I returned home to Benghazi with my daughter. My country and my people faced an uncertain future, and darkness would fill the decades after the war. But for now, we would rebuild and remember.